Hi. Okay. I need to figure out how to share this. um, oh, here we go. Maybe this. There we go. Video link. Okay, I'm just getting ready. We're going to start sewing here in a minute. Just trying to share this real quick over on the Facebook page. Of course, everything runs slow. Sorry, guys. Okay, here we go. Okay. Back to this. Okay. Yay, we're live. Okay. So we are sewing Marillas. This is just here for right now so that you can hear me better. Hopefully you can actually hear me. I'm so excited to be sewing on YouTube. I don't know if you follow us on the CKC page, like the Facebook group page, and I sew live there a lot. But this may be a new platform for other people. So if this is your first time watching, or if you watched me before, throw a comment up there. I'd love to chat with you while we do this. I've done a few things already because I was a little bit worried about time. These videos tend to take a little while, and I know that sometimes YouTube doesn't allow for a really lengthy amount of time. So I have already put my gathering stitches in, but I haven't gathered. So I'll show you all of those things, and let's just get started. Let's just sew. Majority of this I will be sewing on my serger. That's what I do. So I'm going to try to make for sure you guys can hear me. Yeah, so this is the centerpiece. If you haven't seen Marilla's, you should definitely check it out. It's super cute. And I'm just going to start sewing all the pieces together. I like to sew things in kind of assembly line style. It just makes it go a lot faster. So my bodice pieces need to be sewn that way. Hopefully this isn't too shaky. Let me just make for sure. It's a little shaky. Sorry about that, guys. If it gets to be too much, I have it propped up right now, but I can definitely take it off that. If it gets to be too much. Okay. So I've got all these pieces put together. Now, the key to this pattern, it has several pieces to it. So the key that I have found when I don't cut myself is to just lay them all out. And I did do some pattern placement and place this super cute gnome with the bunnies right on the front. Turned out so cute. Okay, I'm just going to set that aside like this. I'm just going to lay it out. This will help in the next process because the next step is to add the ruffle. Hey, can you give me a Band-Aid? I cut my finger. Okay, so let's gather up the ruffles. Now I'm using this super cute buffalo plaid fabric. And one thing when I do gathers is I always put the bobbin thread on the wrong side of the fabric. I try to do a different color. It doesn't always work out that way, but that's just the way I do it, just to make for sure that I pull the right one. You always want to pull your bobbin thread. I am just evenly distributing these gathers. And you can hem if you want. This is knit fabric, so it definitely doesn't require it. It's not going to ravel or anything. So I just choose not to. I just think it lays a little bit nicer than with a bulky hem. That's just my personal preference. Okie dokie. So I'll lay that over here. And hold on, pause. Gotta get my Band-Aid. Just cut my finger. Of course. Because why wouldn't I cut my finger? Okay. Never cut my finger unless I'm live. Okay. That's not true entirely, but it feels like that. Okay. There we go. The hazard of having sharp scissors, I guess. Okay. So let's continue gathering. And again, just pull in that bobbin thread. If you find that you are having a hard time gathering, you could potentially have not gone on the longest stitch length, or you might be pulling the top thread, and the top thread does not pull. So just keep that in mind. Well, I mean, I guess it does, but it's just very hard. And it doesn't pull nicely, not like the bobbin thread does. Okay, so I have these gathered up. Now this is way too much gathering, but let's move that. I like to gather it up a good amount so that it's easier to distribute them evenly. Okay, so this is what I do. I like to, there's a pattern piece here. I don't know if you can see that. I like to lay it out on here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew this side, and then I'll sew this side. This way I know that my ruffle is laying the correct way. Sometimes I accidentally sew things on upside down, and that's a lot of work to have to take that all out and redo it. So this is my tip for this. And you are not going to go all the way to the end. You want to give yourself about 1 inch to 3/4 of an inch. Reason being that you need that seam allowance because this is your bodice, and you want to make for sure that you don't have too much extra bulk when you put the skirt on. So I'm just going to clip this on, distribute these ruffles evenly. Now, if this live gets shut down, just because Facebook and YouTube and all of that, they seem to have put time limits on things these days, I will just go ahead and start up another one. So if that happens, just stay tuned and I will put another link up or start another video. Okay, so it's very important that you just kind of make for sure your gathers are even and laying flat. I know it seems tedious, but I promise it matters. Okay, so I'm going to start with this side, and I'm going to match my center seam with the ruffles sandwiched between, and go down here, and this goes all the way to the edge. All the way, and as I do this, I just make for sure everything is going to get caught in this seam. I don't want a stray gather to be down, because then it will just it will look funky. Won't look right. So you want to make sure all your gathers are in your seam allowance. And again, I'm going to go down here and do the same thing. Match everything up. And, you can't really rush this process. You want to make for sure that you're taking the time that it takes to make for sure everything is in there and sandwiched well. You could definitely sew them separately, and probably that's in the pattern. I find for myself that it just makes it really bulky. So I don't tend to do it. But if you felt more comfortable doing it that way, by all means, go for it. Okay. I'm going to do the same to the other side. Remember to leave 3/4 of an inch to an inch there. And the same on the back. 3/4 of an inch to an inch. I'm just eyeballing it. I mean, it's not an exact science, but I kind of know what I did to the other side. So this is going to be my daughter's holiday dress. Super cute. I love the gnomes. Just super fun little dress. And I think she's going to love it too. She's 5. And the sweetest little thing. Okay. Just making those even. If you go ahead and get everything straightened out, then it'll tend to go a little bit better. Okay. Just going to grab this. And I'm going ahead and doing everything at one time. I like to assembly line sew. Again, I've made this pattern for myself. I haven't made the kids version, but I made myself like 6 of these. So, because I tested this pattern and then I just really liked it, so I made myself a bunch of these. So this isn't my first go around with this pattern. So, like I said, just make for sure everything's laying flat in there. There's a creator on TikTok. He says, nice, flat, and beautiful. Something. I can't think of what he says. Now that I said it, of course. Something about everything laying flat and beautiful. And that is what you want to do. He presses all of his seams, though. I do that too, but not to that extent. Not as much as he does. It does matter, though. He makes a lot of things out of like woven fabrics and such, so it's a little bit more in depth, I guess you could say. Okay. All right, we got these on. Now, let's sew it. Now, typically I would tell you to watch those gathers, but you can't because they're sandwiched. So watch your gathers either way. Here we go. Just try your best, I guess, is really the moral of this story. Why? Got a nice thread cut. Something does happen to get stuck, you can go back and fix it later. I guess I need to be talking into this microphone, so I'm sorry if you haven't heard me. I'm definitely not used to talking in a microphone, so sorry. I don't know how much it picks up. If I've been completely silent this whole time, I apologize. If I sound like I've been in a cave, again, I apologize. We will get this down eventually. Okay. And here we go. Got stuff falling down around me. Okay. So here is the bodice. Oh my gosh. Seriously? This is stinking cute. Oh, I love it. I love it. This fabric just was dying to be made with a bunch of different coordinating fabrics because it has so much in it. I love it. Okay. Now, move on to this fun part. We are going to sew the neckband in, and then we're going, sew the neck on the bodice, the lining, and this together, and then we're going to do the burrito method to sew the underarms. So just going to match my seams. I'm going to sew these on the inside circle as best as I can. I think I shouldn't have a problem doing that. This pattern does have a front and a back. I did not do it. It's a little bit low, and my daughter, she's 5, and if it's a little bit low, she'll pull it lower just for the fun of it. So I just did 2 backs and it'll be fine. It'll hit her in just the right way. She is going to wear a shirt underneath it, but still, I wanted to be careful. Just in case. You never know. I don't know if your kids like to do stuff like that, but mine does. Okay. Now, for the burrito method. So we have this here. And what you do, turn it right side out. And we're going to roll, 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 roll. And we're going to take this one and match it with this one on the same side. Okay. It's a little tricky to sew sometimes because you get like caught in there because there can be a lot of fabric, but match your underarms and that curve and just make for sure that you have everything kind of pushed out of the way. So we've rolled, 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 and just making for sure I'm not getting kicked off. Okay, we're good. And push it down, just shove it down in there. I'll show you again on the other side how we do it. Okay, so it's like this, and you're going to sew this. Everything else, the rest of it, is all up inside there. It's called the burrito method. Okay. Here we go. Just be cautious when you get to the skinnier parts. You don't want to catch the serger on anything inside. So kind of, or the sewing machine for that matter, whatever you're using. Okay, so there's your serged thing, and now you're going to turn the garment inside out. Voila! And your underarm or your sleeve set, what am I calling this? Arm your armhole, that's what I'm going to say, is completely enclosed. See? Pretty cool. Okay, so now we're going to do the other side. So you have your garment. I always like to do it with the right side up. Roll, 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 roll. Okay. And then this is the side we're doing. Grab it. Grab it. Squish it down. Squish, squish, squish that ruffle down. All right, now go to your edges, meet. Squish it down. Again, just squish, squish, squish. Everything in there. You don't want anything falling out, and you don't want anything to catch. All right. Squish it down. All right, now right here is going to be a little tricky because it's very bulky. So you're just going to want to make for sure as you're sewing that you kind of just squish it in there. There's not really a better word for that. Just want to make for sure that it's all in there. Now keep in mind, you do not need to use the burrito method on many things. Knit is one when you have a fully lined bodice and no openings or closures, I guess is what you would call it. And then if you're doing something woven that doesn't have any closures. If you're making something woven that has a closure, you do not need to do this method. Just sew it together and turn it inside out and then do your closures. Same thing for this one. Turn it in. Now, sometimes when you're making itsy bitsy tiny baby stuff, it is really hard to turn these inside out. Trust me, I've made a few. So keep that in mind that sometimes it's a little bit difficult to turn things inside out. You may have to really work at it. And if it is too difficult, just add a little extra to a bodice the next time and put a closure in it. Okay, now we're going to sew the underarm seam. I know that's not really a solution. I understand that, but that's what I would do. If it gets to be too much, I always just make it work some other way. Sometimes those tiny newborn things, they need openings anyways, because if you can't pull it through, it's going to be extra hard to get it over a baby's head, and we know that newborn babies have very large heads sometimes, and sometimes even the bigger toddlers and infants. So anyways, I'm rambling. Just something to keep in mind, I guess, is more what I'm saying. Okay, so our bodice is complete. This is the back. Oh no, this is the front. Isn't that cute, that little rabbit? And this is the back. Oh my gosh, it's just too cute. I cannot even handle it. Okay, so let's grab the skirt and the ruffle. Now, like I said, I've already gathered these. I did not want to take up too much time and have to switch between machines too much, so I went ahead and gathered them. Now, I want to show you this in particular. So when I gather, I always start a little bit over and end a little bit over the seam. This way, I can gather it up all the way, and then when I get to here, I don't have this big space where there's no gap. So this is what I do. I just think it's a good rule of thumb. I don't know. I think it makes everything look a little bit nicer. So that's just my tip, I guess, that I always try to give. And for some reason, my machine is gathering. My tensions are super loose. I don't know if my daughter played on my machine or if it's just kind of what's going on recently, but my tensions are super loose, which makes this gathering a little bit easier. So this is the skirt part, and I am doing the ruffle, and I'll put that on after I attach. Ooh, excuse me. After I attach the skirt. Sometimes I do it the other way around so that once I attach it, then I'm done. But I was here, so this is what we're doing for today. And like I said, I do like to overgather so that when I attach everything, it's just a little bit easier to adjust to the way that I want it. Okay. So and again, with the gathers, you're going to want to make for sure that they all lay nice and flat. It will make a difference in your final product if while you're sewing, you just go ahead and make everything lay flat and this pattern has a maxi version. I am not making the maxi version. I am making the dress version. So because of that, I am not adding the elastic to the waist. You certainly could if you were doing a maxi or doing something that had a heavy fabric, like if you're using a rayon spandex. This is a double brush poly, and it is so, so light. So I don't feel the need to do that extra step of the elastic, but you definitely could, especially in the women's version. And if you have questions about how to add elastic, there's a video on the main page that shows you exactly how to add elastic to a dress or to a seam like this. And I added the elastic to my women's version, all of them, even if they were the short one. It just lays nicer for women, I feel like. Not quite as baggy, might be the word that I'm looking for. Kind of gives that waistline just a little bit more accentuation. It accentuates that waist just a little bit more. Okay. Just clipping this on and moving right along. Okay. This is kind of, it's not it's just a little bit tedious, and I like to pay attention, so sorry that I'm being quiet. Just trying to really focus on what I'm doing so that everything is nice and even and done correctly. So sorry for being so silent during this portion. Okay. Just getting these gathers even and all of that beautifulness. Okay, so I have everything on here, and I am going to actually turn this inside out. I like for my gathers, I sew on top of my gathers as often as possible with the other side flat. It just goes through so much better. Goes through the machine so much better. All right, so just, whoa, pulling these up. Okay. And here we go. This gives me time to adjust. If you sew where you can't see your gathers, then they may be underneath or tucked under, and it just makes your job so much more difficult. So always sew where you can see the gathers. Okay. So here's where we are so far. absolutely adorable, like beyond. And so now we're going to add the ruffle onto the bottom, which is another buffalo plaid. But I mean, come on, you can't go wrong with buffalo plaid. It's just too cute. So the same thing applies here. I am going to go ahead and clip on this bottom ruffle. It's a lot bigger. So this is why I just go ahead and clip it on. It just makes it a smidge easier for something as long and ruffly as this. It's very, very ruffly. So I just like to go ahead and make for sure it's on here nicely. And then it just kind of helps. The bodice is a little bit easier to adjust versus the rest of this. So that's why I choose to do it this way. You could definitely do it a different way if you felt like it was easier to gather it off the bodice or off the skirt. This is not the bodice. Oh, good. Thank you, Lynn. Sorry I didn't see your comment previously. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Glad you can hear me clearly. Sometimes I'm not using my phone, I'm using my computer with the camera. With the microphone. My phone tends to make it sound like there's a fan in the background, and that's no fun. So, the computer has better audio, but I don't know about this microphone per se. And then once we get this on here, then we will be done. That will be it. Super simple pattern, actually. Like, really, the biggest things are all the gathers, but otherwise, and maybe that burrito method, if you've never done something like that before, that could be a little bit challenging. I definitely know the first couple of times I attempted it were a little bit more difficult. So I definitely understand if that's the case, especially if it's a new method. There's a couple videos demonstrating it on the main YouTube channel. So if you wanted to go back to it without having to watch this whole thing and just learn how to do that, you definitely could do it, because there are videos there that explain it. And I think I've done it before on a live, and most of the lives are saved to the Facebook page. So, and then if not, and you still needed help, let me know, and I definitely can make a video about it. Try not to be too redundant. Aw, you learned the burrito method for me. See, I knew I had done it before. That's sweet. It is magic. I hear you on that. It is some sort of sorcery. It's very cool. I definitely am a fan of the burrito method, obviously. So, let's see. Now we're just trying to make for sure we are even here. I cheated, and because the pattern called for the exact length of this, or the exact width of the fabric, so I didn't make another seam, and it's just proving to be a little bit more difficult because now I don't have two side seams to go off of, but I have two side seams for my ruffles and my bodice, and so I just made it a smidge hard for myself. but that's all right. You live and you learn, right? Okay. Okay, the reason why I'm doing this is I'm trying to see what's even so that I can tie it off. That way, oh, excuse me. That way I can adjust my gathers a little bit easier. So the good thing about having your tensions off is that it's easy to gather, but it's also easy to come undone. So just makes it a little bit harder. So I'm just trying to thank you. Oh goodness. Just trying to be able to adjust my gathers because right now they're kind of a hot mess. So I want them to be just a little bit more even all the way around, but then not come off the edge. It's a whole thing. It's just a whole thing. So, like I said, it's a process, but it's totally worth it. Because when your gathers look good, it feels amazing and magical in some sort of way. I don't know. I did learn it. I used to, when I first started sewing, I didn't care as much about that kind of thing. And through the testing process and all of that, I definitely learned the value of things just looking good and how important that was and how much it did matter to me. It makes my sewing better and it makes me feel better about the things that I'm making. They don't quite look homemade in that sense of the word. Like, oh, did you make that? Yeah, we could tell. Those gathers are wrecked. So, I don't know. That's just kind of my take on it, I guess. So, just my mom used to always tell me to take pride in what I sewed, and I thought I did. But once I started sewing more and learning more, especially about clothing, yeah, definitely made a difference in a good way, in the best way. So, and I really enjoy teaching people how to sew and teaching different methods. And I feel like if I'm not doing things well, then I don't have any business teaching other people. If other people are like, wow, you sewed that? Great. That looks awesome. As sarcastically as possible. It doesn't really give me much credibility as someone who knows how to sew if my stuff looks wrecked. So, anyways, that was all free for you. This is what we call gather talk. That's what happens when you have to gather for 300 miles. You just start chatting. I do love a good gather, but anyways, I'll stop talking about it. Okay, got some fussiness at that end, so I'm gonna have to adjust once I get over there. I don't like the fussiness. Don't like when it fusses. All right, so again, just gathering it up. And I'm so glad this is not kicking me off. That's really good. I was really afraid it was going to kick me off. Like it has other times. So I'm trying to ease this without losing my gather, because that would be a pain in the butt. Because I tied it, so I'm trying to do something that's definitely not going to work. But I don't want to lose my gathers, so probably what I'm going to do is start at the other side, and then as I get closer to this end, I'll just undo it and pop it and then finish it up that last little bit. It's just a smidge, just a tiny bit off, but I don't want to have weird like pucker here. So it's just a little bit off. So when I get to this end, I'll just kind of pop it and pull it over. So, well, shoot, we're gonna have to start with that. Okay, don't be a booger, don't be a booger, don't be a booger. Okay. I know. Don't. Just talk to my gathers here. I don't want to have to regather the whole thing. So I've got a little bit of it out, and I'm just going to clip so that it kind of lays the way that I want it to. Gathered, not perfect, but still better than having to redo the entire thing. Okay. So still gather or stitch with everything on top. And here we go. With your gathers on top, not everything on top. What am I saying? Oh my gosh. Okay. It's going to be a little dicey here for a few minutes. Just got to get these cooperating because I had to pop it. So just want to make for sure. All right. There we go. And if you don't sew with clips, you really should. I'm just saying. They're so much easier than pins. And you don't stick yourself. So less injury. Unless you snip your finger with your scissors. There is that. That's fun. Okay. So because this is like so much gathers, it's just kind of the nature of the game where it's kind of gotten a little loosey-goosey. And it isn't laying flat just because of how it is. So as I'm going, I'm just kind of straightening it and everything. Just to make for sure it's all laying the way that I want it to. It just happens like that sometimes, especially when there's a lot of gathers. You would have to use a lot of clips, and you could do that if you wanted. If it helped you feel a little bit better about it, then you could definitely use more clips. This is definitely being a little bit of a booger. This is why people don't like gathers, because they take a lot of patience and a little bit of extra time. there we have it. Under an hour. Now I know I did some of the other stuff beforehand, but still, under an hour for this super cute dress. Get this stuff out of the way, and I will show you how this turned out. So I got all these little things. I did not hem it again. Don't think it's necessary. It's knit. Here you go. Super cute. This is purple. It looks very blue in the picture. I'm not sure why, but it is very, very purple. But yeah, so love this. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. YouTube doesn't like when you post the live, but I may do it anyways, and just see how things go. If it messes the page up, then I may have to get rid of it. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. This was fun. Have a good night.